The series kicks off with a body found surrounded by 7 alarm clocks, all ringing at once. We then catch a glimpse of figures dressed in black, resembling masons, hiding their faces behind masks shaped like clock hands. To understand the story of these 7 dials, we must go back to the very beginning. The events begin with Bundle at a lavish party hosted by her mother, a tradition for their prestigious family. We notice a spark of attraction between her and Jerry, her late brother's friend. Her mother interrupts, asking what is going on behind her back. She takes Bundle away, and amidst the pleasant atmosphere, we realize the mother dislikes the crowd. She complains that the house is suffocating, filled with everyone from the doorman to the foreign minister. Bundle reminds her that this was her own idea to keep the estate after her father's passing. Without these guests, there would be no house. During their conversation, a guest named Oswald approaches, expressing his excitement to meet the foreign minister. He reveals his steel factory is right across from the minister's office and hopes to strike a secret deal. The mother is visibly annoyed. When they walk away and Bundle asks about her sudden mood change, she replies, "Too many questions will only tire you later," and leaves to greet other guests. Suddenly, Ronnie and Bill appear before Bundle. Despite their masks, she recognizes them immediately. They tell her about a prank they are pulling on Jerry because he has been sleeping in for a week. They plan to hide 7 alarm clocks under his bed all at once. Bundle is surprised by the number, unaware that 7 is a number that will haunt her for life. Bundle brushes it off and goes to meet Jerry. He surprises her with his genuine affection and arranges a dinner date for the next day. She senses a proposal is coming. Indeed, he hints, "I have a question to ask you at dinner and I need to hear the answer from you." Just as she gets excited, the undersecretary interrupts. He reminds Jerry that as a key employee, he must focus on his duties, specifically attending to Mrs. Coote. He drags Jerry away to execute the order. Meanwhile, Ronnie and Bill proceed with their plan, with Ronnie being strangely insistent on it. We find Jerry sitting at a table with many people, including Mrs. Coote. As they play, she tries to peek at his cards. He tries to be charming while pointing out that it is cheating. However, she suddenly turns cold and asks, "Do you know what happened to the last person who said that to me?" The night passes peacefully. The next morning at breakfast, everyone is present except Jerry, as they are all staying at Bundle's house due to their long history with the family. Suddenly, they hear the sound of the alarm clocks ringing deafeningly. The servant rushes up to turn them off. They assume Jerry will never wake up regardless of the noise. However, the servant takes a long time, and the alarms keep ringing. The guests think Jerry is just awake and annoyed, unaware that the servant is standing upstairs in shock. When Bundle goes up, she discovers the tragedy. Jerry is dead in his bed. We realize this is the body surrounded by the 7 clocks. While the presence of the clocks makes sense due to the prank, the mystery of the 7 masked figures remains to be explained. Detectives arrive. The assistant clumsily knocks over and breaks a glass bottle by the bed. Unfortunately, this was the only piece of evidence at the crime scene. The cause of death is determined to be a massive overdose of sleeping pills. Bundle tries to convince the detective that Jerry is the last person who would take sleeping pills. Bill chimes in, suggesting Jerry was practically aging from sleeping so much, but then quickly changes his tune, supporting the suicide theory by claiming Jerry had been changed and stressed lately. He asks Ronnie to confirm. Strangely, Ronnie hesitates and claims he didn't know Jerry that well. Although the detective buys the story, Bundle's glare at them suggests she knows something is off. After the detective leaves, she tells them, "No, he didn't kill himself. That is not Jerry's character at all." As she speaks, she notices the alarm clocks sitting on the shelf. She asks, "What is this? Didn't you say you hid them?" Ronnie and Bill stand frozen, unable to find an answer. They are saved by the servant announcing that the Cootes are leaving and Bundle must see them off. Bundle goes to them, leaving Ronnie and Bill staring at each other. When she goes downstairs, she finds a maid being scolded. Before she can listen in, Jim, a guest and close family friend, approaches her. He asks if she was the one who found Jerry's body, looking visibly moved. Bundle tries to appear strong, but her tears take over and she suddenly breaks down. What goes unnoticed is that the masks Ronnie and Bill were wearing are thrown on the floor in the hallway near Jerry's room, even though they kept them on after placing the alarm clocks. But that isn't the most mysterious part of the crime. The real mystery lies with Oswald and Coote's secretary, who has an old acquaintance with Bundle's family. He greets her mother with a sharp look, commenting to his boss Oswald about how tragic the accident was. After leaving, he tells his boss that this family is arrogant and thinks they are better than everyone else. We understand they are offering the house for rent, which baffles Oswald. How can a house up for rent host such an expensive party in a week? He mocks them, saying they don't even have money for maintenance. Indeed, we see Bundle heading to Jerry's room, noticing water leaking from the ceiling in several places. She is deeply attached to Jerry's presence, unable to believe he is gone, almost imagining him still sleeping in his bed. But she snaps back to reality, determined to get justice for him. She notices a rectangular trace on the nightstand that doesn't match the shape of the drug bottle at all, meaning the bottle wasn't originally there. Searching the room, she finds the bottle in a completely different spot, far from the bed. She tries to open a drawer. It's locked tight. She forces it open, breaking it in her rage when she initially finds nothing useful. Finally, she discovers a letter from Jerry to his sister. He apologizes to her, confirming he shouldn't have mentioned the 7 dials matter, and asks to meet her soon because he wasn't in his right mind at the time. After calming down, though she still doesn't understand what the 7 dials are, she talks to her mother. She shares her gut feeling that Jerry was murdered. Her mother tries to dismiss it as speculation, trusting the police to do their job. Bundle ignores this and asks about the maid, having seen Mrs. Coote yelling at her to the point of tears. Her mother admits Mrs. Coote is a difficult woman and tries to cheer Bundle up. The mystery follows Bundle. While walking, she hears an alarm clock ringing. Following the sound, she finds it right in front of her, set to the exact time Jerry's body was discovered. She immediately calls Ronnie, accusing him of this. He swears he knows nothing about it, but reveals a crucial detail. He actually placed 8 alarm clocks in various spots, including under the bed. He was just as surprised as her to see only 7 lined up on the shelf. Ronnie seems to be hiding something and gets nervous when she says she won't forgive him if he's withholding information. It is clear he loves her and can't refuse her requests. He promises to do his best, but begs her to stay home, terrified she might get hurt. After hanging up, Bundle wonders how her mother threw such a huge party without money to fix the leaks, but she stays focused on the investigation. She questions the butler, then goes to the maid Mrs. Coote yelled at. At first, the maid is scared, fearing for her job. But after Bundle promises secrecy, she reveals Mrs. Coote is a tyrant. While comforting the maid, Bundle notices an old bottle cap in the room. It matches the sleeping pills. The maid nervously confesses she suffers from insomnia and Mrs. Coote gave her the pills. However, when she went to get them for the party, the bottle was missing from the desk. She adds that the drug is very potent and she doesn't believe Jerry came into her room to take it himself. Someone who knew about it must have given it to him. The next day, the coroner's report comes out. Suicide. The case is closed quickly. Bundle leaves with Ronnie, furious at the negligence. She stops Mrs. Coote outside, asking why she didn't tell the coroner the pills were hers. Coote is smart. She ignores Bundle's insinuations and walks away. Even Ronnie tries to tell Bundle she is crossing a line and could get into legal trouble. She yells at him, showing him the letter as proof Jerry had secrets and plans for the future. He wouldn't kill himself. Ronnie shouts back, telling her to accept he is gone. She explains why she is so determined. Jerry was her brother's friend, the only one who stood by them and fought in the war with him. She confesses, "To be honest, I had feelings for him." Ronnie looks visibly hurt by this admission. He tells her he would help if he could, then walks away. As soon as he leaves, Bundle notices someone watching her closely since her conversation with Ronnie. She decides to follow him. He enters a phone booth and leaves. She rushes in and redials the last number. To her surprise, it connects to a police station in another city. She goes to her mother and announces she must travel to that city. Her mother naturally is terrified, telling her she isn't ready to lose anyone else. While Bundle is on her way, we see 7 phones in 7 different locations ringing, and next to each one is a card with a clock drawn on it. And immediately a letter is sent to Bundle's house, but her mother receives it. The content warns, "Stay away from the 7 dials or the curse will befall you too." At that same moment, but in a different location, specifically on Bundle's route, she finds a man lying on the ground. When she rushes to him, she discovers it is Ronnie, shot dead with a bullet to the heart. She tries to save him, but his last words are, "Jim, tell him the 7 dials," and he dies instantly. This serves as the first harsh warning resulting from her involvement with the 7 dials mystery. We jump back in time to 1920. We see a man standing in a large shooting range, confused about where the shot will come from. He stands terrified, hearing the sound of alarm clocks everywhere around him, until suddenly he is shot and killed instantly. At the same time, but in another city, we find Sean running with his sister to deliver important files, though we don't know what they are or who they are for yet. While on their way, a French woman stops the sister, pretending there is something on her clothes, but in a split second shoots her in the heart, killing her. When her brother Sean arrives, the French woman threatens him to hand over the files, claiming the bull has already killed the recipient. He throws the files on the ground to distract her, then manages to kill her quickly. Unfortunately, while he saved the files, he couldn't save his sister. Back in the present, we see Bundle standing with Jim at Ronnie's grave. She tells him Ronnie's last words were to emphasize the 7 dials to him. Jim is confused, explaining he wasn't even close to Ronnie. She tells him about the letter she found from Jerry to his sister. Jim suggests arranging a meeting between the 3 of them at his house. He admits he used to date Jerry's sister, but claims he isn't madly in love, adding he will tolerate her for a bit, just for Bundle's sake. Just when Bundle thinks things are calm until she meets Jerry's sister, Jim warns her that someone is watching them. She declares, "No more. This man has been following me everywhere, and this time he won't get away." She speeds off in her car, tailing him. He doesn't notice her until it is too late. Strangely, when he finally spots her, he smiles sarcastically, as if amused by her cleverness. She follows him all the way to the police station. An officer tries to stop her, saying, "You can't go in, miss." She retorts, "No, I can. Watch me." and barges into the office after the man who was watching her. The man seems delighted by her presence. The shock comes when he introduces himself as a very important superintendent. She asks immediately, "Why have you been watching me all this time?" He explains it is the core of his job. Sensing he might help, she pulls up a chair, sits down, and informs him Jerry was murdered. He didn't kill himself. He acknowledges seeing her testimony in the case file. Then he starts questioning her. "Jerry died in your bed, correct? And you were the first to find Ronnie when he was killed, correct?" Bundle feels accused, realizing she is indeed the link between them. He clarifies he isn't accusing her, just asking questions. She shows him Jerry's letter to his sister and mentions the 7 dials phrase. He pauses for a second. He asks, "How long have you had this letter, and why didn't you report it?" Bundle, confused, replies, "I felt it was a personal letter. Why would I mention it?" He asks for her opinion. "Do you think the 7 dials refers to a club or a specific area?" We notice from her response that she knows the meaning as she answers, "I believe it's the area." When he catches her trying to steal glances at his notebooks, he hides them. He asks to keep the letter, but she refuses and takes it back. Sensing she will be trouble, he stands up and asks her to go home and stay out of sight until they solve the case, claiming her presence is a distraction. He promises, as a veteran superintendent, to reopen the investigation once he finds strong evidence and figures out the 7 dials mystery. Before she leaves, as he opens the door, he advises her, "Please, take my advice and stay away from the 7 dials district. It's treacherous ground." She replies innocently, "Why would I do that? Of course I won't go there." Immediately ignoring his advice, she goes to Bill to help her get there. Strangely, Bill looks incredibly nervous as soon as she mentions Ronnie, spilling his drink. He quickly replies, No, I don't know what the 7 dials is." She pauses, then asks again, pointing out that she knows him better than he knows himself. She notes that usually if someone says, "Good morning," he takes an hour to reply, but this time, because he is lying, he answered instantly as if rehearsed. He finally admits it, explaining it is a weird club full of unsavory people, listing every terrible trait to discourage her. But nothing deters our protagonist. She insists he take her there. As soon as she arrives, she finds Oswald's secretary and Mrs. Coote there. She asks, "What are you doing here?" He explains he left Oswald because he asked for a raise and was refused, a reason Bundle finds unconvincing. However, he is even more shocked to see Bundle there. A suspicious place like this? He suggests he could recommend other clubs, but she refuses and enters with Bill. The secretary watches her with a strange look, as if he is relieved she is walking into this place on her own. His gaze remains on her even as she occupies herself dancing with Bill. However, she spots him slipping through a hidden door. She follows him, leaving the noise behind for a completely different world, one that is dead silent compared to the outside. She sneaks down the corridor until she reaches a locked room, which she manages to open using her own methods. Inside, she finds a table shaped exactly like a clock dial. On it, 7 alarm clocks are arranged in the exact same pattern found on the shelf at the moment Jerry's body was discovered. She doesn't have time to explore further because she hears footsteps approaching. She scrambles to find a hiding spot, and at the very last second, before anyone spots her, she dives into a closet. She witnesses a terrifying scene. 7 figures enter the room, dressed head to toe in black, resembling a Masonic group. They wear masks shaped like clock dials. They don't remove the masks while talking. Their voices reveal a mix of men and women. They discuss Jerry's case, noting that the police have closed it, meaning they are in the clear. Then, they talk about a formula they are tracking, confident they know exactly where to steal it from. We understand this formula could either destroy the world or end it, depending on how it is used, though their true intentions remain unclear. One member is appointed to handle the formula situation, noted for his success in handling the Ronnie matter. Bundle hears all of this, petrified, holding her breath so no one hears her. The next day, she goes to tell Jim everything, but before they can finish talking, the time for the meeting with Jerry's sister arrives. She enters looking sad and shaken. She tells Bundle how much she misses her brother. He was a father figure to her, and she regrets not spending enough time with him. She confirms he used to talk about Bundle often. Bundle gets straight to the point and hands her the letter Jerry intended to send. As she reads it, she explains that she actually went to the 7 Dials Club before, not realizing it would upset him. Jim accidentally lets it slip, telling Bundle to inform her about the secret society, reasoning that Jerry must have known about it and was worried for her. Despite Bundle's warnings, Jim keeps talking. Bundle explains her suspicion that Jerry and Ronnie were murdered because they discovered the secret inside that club. She continues, revealing she knows where the group's leader will be next. A mansion hosting a respectable number of the businessmen who were at the party. She announces she wants to go there. Jim interrupts, insisting she cannot go alone. He says he can get Bill to send him an invitation too. He suggests inviting Jerry's sister, but Bundle refuses, saying, "Just you, not her." Jim is secretly thrilled. He calls his servant to go buy him a heavy caliber gun. However, they agree to pretend they are strangers once they are at the mansion. Bundle goes home and calls the undersecretary, asking about the event at the mansion. When he hesitates, stressing that the matter is top secret and the state is at stake, she lies, telling him her mother wants to offer him some advice. Knowing he has a crush on her mother, he drops everything and rushes to their house. The mother wants to hide when she hears this, which Bundle notices. Her mother complains, asking what to do about this intruder. Bundle tries to tell her she needs to get used to people, but it is clear the mother has become reclusive since the death of her husband and son. She tells her daughter she wishes she could live in a hole in the ground where no one knows her, adding, "I've lived life and mixed with people before." What good did it do? The undersecretary arrives and chatters away, though the mother barely pays attention. Bundle orchestrates this whole meeting just to get him to take her to the gathering at the mansion, a property used by the ministry to host VIPs. When the mother asks about the importance of this gathering, he explains the goal is to gain the trust of Dr. Sean, the inventor of Cameron. He describes it as a dangerous material, a specific type of steel he created that no bullet can penetrate. If they buy it, it is a huge asset. If it falls into the wrong hands, it is a disaster. When Bundle finishes his sentences and explains it on his behalf, he is incredibly impressed by her intelligence and quick wit. She asks if she can join them. Her mother worries, but he assures her the place is extremely secure. She ends up going with him. Jim is there, and they maintain their act of not knowing each other. During a bird shooting session, Mr. Oswald and his wife are present. The undersecretary notices that Oswald shoots exceptionally well with his left hand. As soon as Oswald spots Bundle, he approaches to offer his condolences, but his tone is sharp, almost gloating. Our heroine feels completely uneasy around him. Finally, Dr. Sean arrives. The man this is all about. We discover he is the same person from 5 years ago whose sister's life was lost because of the invention he carries. We will confirm this shortly. Before that confirmation, Bundle speaks to Jim, hinting that Oswald shoots with his left hand, and Ronnie was shot in the left side too. Jim dismisses it as a coincidence. They notice the superintendent is also present. He knows Jim's name, which surprises Jim, but Bundle chooses not to explain anything. She approaches the pigeon Oswald shot and notices it too has fallen on its left side. We reach the point that confirms Dr. Sean was defending his invention's formula. While sitting at the dinner table, he recounts how he and his sister were persecuted by white people in the past. He confirms the story we saw earlier. The day his sister was killed, he saved the files containing the formula's properties. He produces a very small sample for them to see. Oswald isn't entirely convinced about the invention's durability. Since he is an excellent marksman, he stands up and shoots at the sample. Indeed, it doesn't even get scratched. Dr. Sean warns them, "I trusted you because the minister assured me everything is well secured." The undersecretary assures him there is a private room with a safe where he can keep whatever he wants. Finally, everyone goes up to their rooms. Everyone except Bundle. She grabs Bill and Jim, ordering them to sit and guard Dr. Sean. Jim is ready with his high-caliber gun for any quick reaction. She leaves them and changes her dress into a t-shirt and trousers, standard spy attire. She jumps out the window into the bushes. It isn't a huge drop, but it still hurts. Just as she says, "Here we go," and prepares to patrol the mansion grounds, she finds the superintendent walking toward her with steady steps. He asks what she is doing and why she jumped out the window in the middle of the night. She exercises her favorite hobby, sass, asking, "What brings you all the way out here anyway?" He tells her she cannot obstruct his work, grabs her by the hand, and orders her to go back the way she came. She climbs back up to her window. Naturally, she doesn't listen to a word he said. She enters her room through the window and immediately exits through the door to check on the progress. She doesn't find Jim or even Bill at their posts. Annoyed, she goes to Bill's room to ask him what is going on, but she doesn't find him there either. Suddenly, she hears a shot and what sounds like Jim calling for help. She screams at the top of her lungs and tries to break the door down until the household wakes up and helps her force it open. They find Jim lying on the floor, bleeding profusely. She thinks he is dead, but discovers he is still alive. The person who shot him has fled. Bundle recalls the day her brother was taken from her, the day his body returned from the war, 5 years before her father passed away. The shocker is that her father was the same person, the Bull, whom Dr. Sean was trying to reach in the past, the one who had already died. Back to the present, she rushes to save Jim. He tells the superintendent the shooter got away. The undersecretary notices Dr. Sean is missing. Panic sets in. They rush to find him unconscious with the same bottle of sleeping pills next to him, though he didn't take a large dose. Bundle snaps at the superintendent, asking, "What is the point of you?" She points out they were nearly facing 4 bodies, 2 by one method and 2 by another, and while he tries to explain that things are still mysterious, they discover the safe containing Dr. Sean's files is open and empty. They realize the secret of his invention will destroy the country, as the thief will undoubtedly sell it to the enemies. The superintendent gathers everyone to begin the interrogation. Just then, Jerry's sister appears. The undersecretary is terrified of what the minister will do to him. Jerry's sister approaches Jim and apologizes for coming uninvited, explaining she couldn't bear the feeling that he was in danger and leave him alone. Losing her brother was enough. Bundle notices Oswald is missing from the chaos. Finally, he appears, looking disheveled. He tells them, "I woke up for a night walk and found this," holding a gun. Bill suggests it must have fallen from the attacker while he was fleeing. The superintendent suspects them all, especially since no one was present during the incident, and Jim couldn't identify the attacker because he was masked. He orders everyone to bed and announces that they are under house arrest. No one is allowed to leave or move from the mansion until morning. The next morning, Bundle sees the superintendent focusing intently on the ground outside. She is interrupted by a knock on her door. It is the undersecretary, acting like a teenager, proposing marriage to her. Just as he is about to recite some poetry, he finds she has vanished. She managed to jump out the window again. She goes to the superintendent to ask what he is doing. She manages to find what he missed, the impact mark of the gun being thrown from a distance. The mark shows the throw was very powerful. This means the culprit is someone staying with them in the mansion and didn't flee. They simply discarded the gun and stayed. The superintendent gathers them again, and announcing he found 2 bullets, one right there and the other further away. But while he is explaining, Mrs. Coote keeps gesturing to Jerry's sister. It turns out she is missing one of her earrings. She asks the superintendent to send a police officer with her to her room because the earring is the last memento she has of her brother. While she is in the room, Dr. Sean speaks up, claiming he was betrayed. He was promised safety, but in the end, that didn't happen. The superintendent continues his investigation, but Bundle interrupts, pointing at a glove and asking, "What is this doing here?" The superintendent, with the patience of a saint, picks it up and says, "Let me humor you." He tells them he found it in the fireplace, partially burnt. He suggests someone try it on. Jim volunteers, but it is way too big for him. Bundle notices the glove has bite marks on the fingers, which she finds strange, deducing the owner must have been a nervous person. The superintendent ignores her theory and asks Oswald to throw the gun far away to measure the impact. He does so, and the mark left is much stronger than the previous one found. Suddenly, they realize Jerry's sister is missing and hasn't made a sound. They rush to her room to find the police officer lying on the floor, bleeding, and she is gone. She took Mrs. Coote's car and fled with the files. Bundle jumps into a car, taking Jim and Bill with her, driving at top speed after her. They guess she is heading for the train station, so Bundle floors it. They arrive just as the train is leaving, but they manage to stop it and board the same carriage she is in. They execute a plan. Bill comes from one direction, Jim from another. Jim voices suspicion about Bill, suggesting he might be in league with her. The disaster strikes when they enter and find Bill pointing a gun at her. Bundle confronts her, saying she no longer believes her. She lays out the dirty plan she executed, accusing her of drugging Dr. Sean with the same drug her brother had. Bundle adds that she tried to pin the blame on Mrs. Coote initially, but now the truth is out. She demands to see her ticket. Jim interjects, "What does it matter?" But she hands it over anyway, telling Bundle her intelligence is annoying. Bundle realizes everything was planned. Her arrival at the mansion and the timing of her escape were carefully calculated. In a moment of total silence, with Jerry's sister looking shocked, the truth is revealed and she doesn't know what to do. Simply put, she asks Jim to answer for her. The shock is that she is in cahoots with Jim on everything. Jim points his weapon at her and Bill. Bundle is stunned and heartbroken. She asks, "Did you kill Jerry?" He doesn't answer, but tells her that her intelligence is what got her into this mess, just as it sent Jerry down a path of no return. In a split second, she tricks him with the old "look over there" distraction, knocks him down, takes the gun, and he runs away. She goes to Bill, who was shot and lying on the floor. Surprisingly, the sample Dr. Sean invented saved him because the bullet hit it. They agree to split up and find them. Bill manages to find Jerry's sister. Meanwhile, Bundle finds Jim hiding his face with a hat. Jim confesses everything. He explains this wasn't the original plan. He just wanted to sell the files to pay off his debts. He swears he didn't do anything to Jerry. Ronnie killed him because he loved Bundle. Bundle insists on knowing who the buyer is. He explains he was going to give the files to the middleman in the first carriage. He begs her not to go, warning she will be shocked. She threatens him, takes the files, and goes to the first carriage anyway. The shock is finding her mother there. Her mother justifies her actions by saying they are bankrupt and she needs the money. When Bundle asks, "You'd betray your country just like that?" her mother replies, "The country took my 2 dearest people, your father and your brother, who died defending it, and in the end, the country did nothing for us." The superintendent arrives and arrests her. Bundle returns to the mansion after losing everyone she loved. The secretary arrives and tells her she is wanted immediately. When she refuses, he threatens her, saying the consequences won't be pleasant. He wants her to go to the club. When she arrives, she finds the 7 dials waiting for her. She imagines her end has come. However, she is shocked to find their leader is the superintendent. He explains he has been watching her all this time and clarifies that their group's goal is ultimately to protect the country. He offers her a place among them to help protect the nation like her father did. We learn that her father was the leader of the group before the superintendent.